Hello friends. So in this video we are going to see the fetch API, get request, post request examples using the promises and also using the async and await mechanism. Okay. So this is the sample of the code. We will see the code and we will run the application. Okay. So the important thing in the fetch API is that when we hit the API, it returns a promise. Okay, it returns a promise. It does not directly returns a response object. Okay, so you can see there is a function called get all products using promise, and we are calling an API which is a public API. Let's see this also. Okay, let's see this as well. Okay, so close this. Okay, so dummy JSON is a public API which has been, which has been made available by someone for testing purpose only. Okay, these are dummy data. Okay, so instead of creating my own data, I took it this example API, this example. Okay, products. Okay, so we have some data here. Okay, so let's back. So we are hitting to this URL, and by default, you see this is the fetch function. Okay, by default, the method would be a get method. In this example, we are seeing only one parameter is passed to fetch function, although there is second parameter we can pass to have a better control on HTTP. That is kind of configuration information. We will see that also. uh, so we have the promise, and when we have the promise, then we this is this is just that getting the element to show the display the data. Okay, okay. To here you can see when we have the response, and to get the body means we know that this API uh, produces the JSON data. So that's why we are just calling here response.json. In this way, we are going to get the JSON data, the actual response body. We will also talk about what kind of data is supported by this fetch API. Means what kind of data we can get from the request and response both. Okay. Okay. So, and once we have the JSON data, then we can pass to the function where the displaying on the UI work is happening. That is show product. Okay. So only this two line, okay, only this two line is fetching the record, and after that we are using this response object. Okay, using this promise, we are getting this response object and then playing with the response object. So what we are getting from the response object, we are getting the response status. Okay, um this is the wait and async example. We will also see that. So yeah, let's move towards slides and learn something more about this. So you can compare if we use await and async mechanism, how clean code we have. Okay, so although this promise code is also very elegant, not at all a problem. This is just a shorthand way of using promises. Okay, the the async and await mechanism. I already have made video on this, so you can look into that if you don't know about that. Now let's go to the next slide. Okay, so we are going to see this example. I'll run the application. We can see that. You'll see the code. So here I'm printing the status. So this status is coming from See, there are three important function uh, property from the response object. What we can get is the status okay and a status text, status message. We'll see that. Okay, so this is the list of the, although there are a lot of records, so in one time the API gives 30 records in hand. So this is just a screenshot, so not all the list is visible here. Okay, we will also see the example of adding the product. So okay, now let's go to the code. Okay, where it is here. So let's first go to that fetch HTML. It's very simple. See, the JavaScript is written in a separate JS file. So here we have this get all products using promises, using promise, get all products, which is using await and async mechanism. Okay, and we have this fetch HTML. So this is two function I created just for the demonstration purpose. At the time only one can be used, obviously. Okay. So we have a notification section just for demonstration purpose. Here we are, declaring, I mean, we are using that JavaScript page API util.js that we have written, and there is a form to add the product. Okay, and this is the content panel where we are displaying the data. Okay, where we are displaying the data. So now let's go to fetch API util. So we this is the function. Let's see this one using the promise. This is the fetch API fetch function where we are passing an URL, and when we have the URL call resolve, then we can use that JSON. I mean, sorry, response object. This is an object. Okay, this is an object, and we have so many things in that. You can see text, status, headers. We can also have blob function, form data, so many things. Not form data. Okay, so we are just printing here in the notification section. Once we have the response, see, this is not, coming from the, this is not a body content. This is the piece of information which is in response object, and here we are getting the body, response body data, JSON data. Okay. And then this is being passed to next block of code. Okay, and here we have show product method. So in the show product method, nothing is special. uh, Getting the content pane element, content panel, just iterating through that. So now let's go to example and see this. We have this HTML page is inside fetch folder. So just I'm trying to reload, although I'm running on live server, so any change made to this application does not require manually reload. Okay, so as soon as you can see here, get all promise, uh, get all products using promise, this is being called here. Okay, at the top. So as soon as JavaScript loads in this page, this function gets called, and this function get executed, and ultimately the show products gets called. Okay, so here we are getting the list. You can see this response. Okay, these are the response that we are getting. Okay, so the result is same. Now let's see, I mean, using the promise or using the async await. Let's, sorry, let's call this one, close this one. Let's come to this function get all products. Okay, in the get all products, this is how a sync await mechanism work. We have to, if mm, when there is a long task or asynchronous task we have to execute, then we have to define the function as async. And because of this fetch API is based on promise, uh, we have to define this, we have to declare this await, like we are waiting for the response. So as soon as we get the our request is uh, fulfilled, we are getting the response, we will get the response object. The same thing that we were doing in the then block in the promise. Okay, we are doing here. So this looks a more cleaner way to write the code. So this is preferred way to write the code. Okay, here we are handling this in the try catch block. So if there is any error, that will be displayed here. Okay. Mm, so here we are, what we are doing, console printing the JSON. Once uh, we fetch the JSON body from the response object, we are printing to the console. Then the same thing, we are getting the notification body to print the status uh, on that notification panel. Ideally I should have created a separate function to use, but anyways I have only created a function to show the products. So I am passing this products, and you see why I'm writing this products dot products. When you have the response body, response data in your hand, you have to see what is the structure of the data, okay, in the response that you get. So you see here, I am getting products inside the products. So here to print out here, I need this one. Okay. If I had to do something more, something with this count, then I could have directly passed this one, only products, the entire JSON. But I had to pass, I wanted to just show the products. So I pass the products dot products. Okay. So yeah, this is about the getting the making the get request from the using the fetch API. Now let's move to this post example. We'll see the code in the post example. I want to yes, here you can see this is the same part. Okay. So there are different mechanism in making post. Okay, one mechanism is uh, we can submit the form. Okay, another mechanism is we can pass the JSON data. Okay, one mechanism we can submit the form. Okay, and by from that form the request will get the data. Another form is passing the JSON. So when so in this case, if we are passing using the JSON, we have to declare, uh, we have to define that, okay, in the content type, basically we have to uh, tell the request that, okay, this is an JSON type, the content type is application slash JSON. So I wanted to show you this second parameter, I mean, yes, second parameter in the um, fetch function, which I was talking in the last slide. This is the UR, and this is a more configuration to the request call. So here what we are doing, we are making a post request. So we have to declare method colon post. Because I am here in this slide, we are submitting the form data. How we are getting this form data? This is how we are getting the form. Okay, so we are getting the form data and we are passing that in the body, and we are expecting some response when we are submitting the post request. Okay, because we would like to know something like, our request was successfully, our post request was successfully posted or not, or maybe we are expected some ID when it is successfully that record is added. Okay, so we are getting the response from the we are getting the response JSON from the response object. Okay, and then using that to show. Okay, so let's see, let's move to the next slide. What is there? So this is how the example will look like. Okay, I am trying to add my machine, and when it is successfully submitted, we will get the response JSON like this. Okay, the ID I have not passed in the request, we will see that, but as a proof that okay it is successfully submitted, we are getting the generated ID. Okay, 101. Okay, so here we were talking about supplying request option. This is the same thing that we were talking in the last slide. uh, the fetch method can potentially optionally accept, this is an optional, okay, because we some request can work with the default configuration, but if we want to give more information uh, in the request configuration, then we can provide. This is how the second parameter. What is this method mode? It's supported, like there are course, no course, cache, no cache, redirect, referral policy. Okay, so yeah, now what is next? We will talk about this. Let's move to the code example. So here we have add product function. Okay, so let's first see this HTML that we already have seen. Okay, so I have a form which has an ID called add product form. I have a input field which ID and name is called title, and I have a button called add product button, and on click I am calling the function add product. Okay, which is here add product. So I am getting document.forms dot add product form. So I will have this form available here. Okay, and then we are declaring this object, this new form object we are creating and passing those elements. Rest of the things, remember this. Here one important things to know, I think you already know this, like you see this. Let's go to the JSON. Okay, here product. Okay, uh, sorry, I want to add a product. Okay, here let's go here. uh, why I'm not good there? Okay, so even though I'm just fetching one record, zoom it. When we are creating the form, what I want to tell you that I wanted to submit, I just wanted to have only one field add. Okay, I'm just going to give, in order to create a product, there are so many things to add. There are so many things to add, the title, description, price, discount, something. But I just wanted to add a product without more details. So I just decided to, okay, let's have only one field. Okay, so when we are using this form submission mechanism to post the data, what we need to take care of, like, because we want the form data to create the JSON. Okay, so it should be compatible with the naming convention, uh, with the JSON data that we want to create. So we need to know that, okay, there is title. We have to see that, okay, what is my JSON structure. So if I want to create title, description, price, I need to create my form element or form fields having that matching with that JSON data structure. Okay, so that's why I give here the name title. Now let's go back here. Okay, so this will create only the title. This will create something like this one, this kind of response, I mean JSON body title colon something, whichever the value is passed, okay, which will be accepted by the mm, API which we are calling. Okay, so we are calling this dummyjson.com/product/add. Okay, so method is post, mode is this, and submitting the form data. We are waiting here for the response. You can see we have not passed uh, any ID. Okay, you see the ID is here in the response. Here also you can see ID is there, but we are not passing that because that will be auto generated once the data is successfully submitted and saved into database. Okay, so so I'm waiting for that because as a programmer I want to make sure, like, you know, my request was successfully submitted. I wanted to validate it, so I would like to see that what ID is generated. Okay. Mm, because if the ID is there in the response, that also gives a proof, like, okay, the record was successfully posted and everything is fine. Okay, so I'm waiting for the response. Once successfully submitted and saved, I'll get the response from the response body after successful submission of request, and I'm just playing with that JSON data. Okay, playing with that means what I'm doing, um, displaying that response, whatever the JSON response we get, just printing that on console and printing that on notification area. Okay, let's see this example. Reload. Okay, so here I want to print um, your your machine. Okay, so add product. You can see here we are getting, see, you will say why this is again 101 in the example in my slide, that is also 101. I might have shown you this is 101 because why I'm considering this valid is because this is dummy JSON and they might have done something like that only. Okay, let's try again. I think all the time it just gives a dummy ID, ID 101. Okay, let's try to add again another machine or another device, mouse, smart mouse, a smart mouse, SORRY. Sorry. Okay. So sorry. Mouse, smart mouse. Okay. Yes. Smart mouse and added SORRY. Recording the video, man. Okay. Okay. So you can see there is 101 again. So that is a dummy ID, but that is okay. And we are just printing it here. Okay. Smart mouse. So this is how we can use fetch. Uh, we can use the post request using the fetch API. Okay, I have something more to talk about this. SORRY. Go. Okay, so so I wanted to talk something more about. Okay, so we talked about this supply request option. We already talked about this. Mm, and I have another example that we will see in the next video where this second parameter, I mean this configuration parameter or request option, this is called basically option. So this request option we will use in this next video. In the next video, basically I'll try to I'll show an example of how to cancel a request. Let's say we are trying to download a video or a larger file or something that we have requested a long task to operate, to execute. Okay, but in between we want to stop that. So in the next video we will see that also. Okay, so but before that Feature detection. What this feature detection means is, although this fetch API is supported by almost all the modern browser, okay, but maybe if you are working on some older API and you are not sure about the browser which we are going to be used, maybe the old browser is going to be used, so you can tackle that this way. Okay, if window.fetch means window fetch is supported, then you can use this. You can execute your fetch API call here, or otherwise you can do whatever is your requirement. You can call the XML based mechanism here, or you can simply say sorry, your browser is old or something else. Okay, let's go to the next. Let's, yeah, response object. So these, as I was saying, there are three important things in the response object: the response dot status, okay, the response dot status text, and the OK. OK is shorthand way of checking if the response status code range is between 200 to 299. Basically, we know that HTTP status code between 200 to 299 is almost OK, symbol of OK, that everything is OK. So uh, this gives us a code, status code. So it does not require for us to write some logic based on, okay, if a status code is 200, then do this, otherwise do that. And we can use this shorthand way of if response dot okay, then do this, otherwise else. This is some text message. If the response is giving, not necessarily we will get every time if there is no message available. So some API design also make it sure, uh, like they will have the status text. Okay, the body, we'll see the body, uh the response body, I mean, yeah, the response body, what kind of both the request and response may contains body data. A body is an instance of any of the following types. What does it mean? A body is an instance of any of the following types is means from the body of the response body we can get these many types, means the response support these many types of data. So whatever the example we have seen now, that is a string kind of data, because JSON is a string. We can support, we have seen also this form data, but we can also get file type, array, data view, array buffer, parameter, and blob. In the next video, when we are seeing when we will see the example of canceling a task, we will see the example of blob also. Okay, so that the all mean is that these many types of data is supported by the request and response. Okay, so for if you have to upload or download the video or images or files, we can use the fetch API. Okay, method to get the data from body, yeah, the same way, uh, request or response, whatever you want to get from the request or array buffer, the request or response dot blob, response dot json, we see that. Okay, response dot text. Okay, so this is how we can get the uh, but you know what, when so be remember that if we have the JSON in the response, we can only get the JSON, we can't get the blob. Okay, although we can maybe get the array buffer or something, we can get it like text. But if my response body has, when we have blob, we can't get it JSON. So you need to know what is what you are expecting from the body in the response body, then you can use appropriate function. Okay. Okay, so in the next video, we will see that abort or cancel of fetch. Okay, so let me see if we are done with this video. Uh, yeah. we saw the example of uh, hmm, we saw the example of add. Okay. So here we can see we are using the response.json. Okay, so I think we are good with this video. In the next video we will see the porting or canceling a request. Okay, thank you.